And I had Eric from Northwest Houston. Is that right? Yes.
Right. Yeah, right around there.
Eric is in one of our programs called Axiom. And he's very graciously agreed to come on for a few minutes, answer questions, talk about his journey in real estate so far and what it's like in Axiom. And we were just talking. It was like, hold on, we got to hit record because this is exactly what we need to talk about right now. I don't want to spoil it. I'll let Eric tell. But Eric, my man, thank you very much for being with me today.
Yeah, no problem. So,
go ahead.
No.
Okay, I was going to say, first thing is I just want to hear what got you into real estate in the first place. Like what intrigued you? Let's start there. Why real estate?
So I'm in the fire service, and first thing that got me in it was one of my buddies who worked at my first apartment. I saw him just going all in with real estate. He started building up rental units, houses, multifamily units. And I started talking to him more about it, and I wondered why he was always in the mindset that he wants to leave so soon from the fire department. And because I just thought, like, you know what, it's a good apartment to go with. You know, like you can retire, be comfortable, whatever, just put in your 25 years and that's it. He kind of explained to me why his time is more valuable and what it means to him and his family. So I started taking that into consideration, started reading books about it. I mean, it took almost maybe 2 years for me to actually get like serious about it, but it was a ton of reading, a ton of studying.
Yep.
You know, cause I mean, it's not anything like if you're going to do like the stock portfolio, it's not like, sure, let me just risk $10, $10 a month or whatever.
Right.
This is different.
And something you can sit in your skivvies and your living room and be like, how do I risk $10 on this, see if it works or not? It's like, oh, this is very tangible. Potentially like locking yourself in for 15, 20, 30 years, however you decide to finance something. Started getting pretty serious about it. At the time, all I knew was how to move money around with equity, in building up a rental portfolio. That's what I was stuck with. So my job, my whole goal was just to try to get like a fourplex or duplex and then slowly branch out from there. But I was thinking like, man, even at that point, like me just saving, even if I use my FHA loan, for the fourplex to get a single family home, it's still going to be, 15, 20%. Like how long is that going to take for me to save? Like by the time it's 10, 15 years, maybe 5, 6 properties. I don't know. Yeah. So I thought, you know what, there needs to be a faster way. Started reading more about creative financing. Then I saw like, man, like if you know all of that, it'll be so easy to just snatch up any deal because you can make the deal happen. You were equipping yourself. You were putting more tools in your tool belt. So when you run across situations, you're like, this is this situation. This one, this situation.
Yeah. And it's just so crazy that every time I learn something new, I just realize there's so many more things you can do with that one tool.
Totally.
So then you keep going on. And it's just, to me right now, it's never ending. I'm at that point where like, I felt like I was already at a breakthrough, but now I'm barely beginning.
You're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I thought the world was my oyster before. Holy cow.
Yeah. So I think reaching that point of realizing like, okay, I can't just rely on conventional financing or, even waiting 5, 10 years for, let's say, the market to go up, your equity to go up, for you to be a little savvy with that. It still takes time. And for me, I want to start acquiring like 5, 6 properties a month. So there was something else I had to do. And I had heard about wholesaling from a buddy of mine. Man, it was years ago. I think I was right out of high school and I thought he was crazy. Yeah. I would tell him like, dude, like stop talking.
You're nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. For the scam, pyramid scheme, whatever. And sure enough, I mean, years later, he already had done his deals or whatever. And now I'm barely seeing that. And it's just like, man, if I would have started, 4 or 5 years ago, when I was right out of high school,
I probably could have already had multiple properties or whatever, or at least one deal with wholesaling. So I think that's what brought me into wholesaling, is me realizing I need to find a way to gain capital even quick. And I mean, it's also the greatest tool to even learn about how the process even goes for putting it under contract, for finding ways to create a contract that works in everyone's favor.
Yeah.
And it just to maximize
the problem.
Yep.
Totally. Well, I know in Axiom, so in the program that I mentioned Eric is part of, but in Axiom, you've been posting a bit, and there was one deal in particular that you posted about recently. Like, it's not like a complete whale. And then like you listed out the situation. It was like, this is a totally solid deal though. Like, you may not be like $100,000. It's not $100,000. Who cares? You're solving the problem. Everybody is going to be, it's going to be a win-win scenario for everybody. Everyone's going to walk away happy, and you're going to make money.
Yeah.
Like, being able to walk into situations to do that. What it's all about.
Yeah. So that deal in particular, that was actually the first house that I had ever, cold called. Yeah.
Nice.
It was down the street from my parents' house, and I saw it. I was like, you know what? This is what I read about driving for dollars.
Yes.
Let me call this.
Isn't that funny how sometimes they come back around and you're like, wait a second.
That was like a year ago.
See?
It's been vacant for years. I mean, I grew up at that house since I was like 2 years old. I've never seen a family living in there, maybe once. But it's been vacant for such a long time. So, I mean, for the past years, I would always drive by, look at it, and it's like, you know what? Like, that could be a good house. And then getting into wholesaling, I was like, that's a good wholesale house. And sure enough, I called the guy and kind of just got talking. That was months ago that I called him. And then I just checked up on him. I just texted him. I was like, hey, just want to see how the property's going. He had initially told me that he was very disappointed because he was in the middle of, he was the note holder, right? So he was seller financing it to someone else. And they never moved in. He didn't know why they didn't move in. They just kept it vacant, and it was getting run down. So he was telling me that was the first property he ever bought in the 1970s for his rental portfolio. That was his first rental property. So he felt like pretty disrespected. Sure. I had told him months ago, like, dude, if you can find something out, I would love, because that's the community I grew up in. This community that like my parents, grew up in.
Yep.
I would love to, make it better, and I would fix it up, and I would make it into a good investment property. So he had just told me, like, you know what? Let me talk to this lady and let me just see what happens. I think they're just, I don't know. He didn't get specific with it. I didn't really care to keep digging. Yeah, it was already there that he offered it to me. So, he basically offered, I think he sold it to her for $50,000. He sold it to her for $50,000. And then, I think he was trying to buy it back for $55,000. So I don't know what happened, but they agreed to it. And I had told him, like, dude, I'll give you $60,000, right? Like, sure, that's it. And that's what he had told me initially. Yeah. He had told me that number. Yeah. Yeah. He had told me that number. And I remember thinking that's before I had even thought about, like, I hadn't really practiced on getting my numbers and seeing, like, valuing a house on my own. I just kind of like looked, and then I compared it to my parents' house, which was like a few houses down. Yep. I was thinking, like, you know what? This is probably a good deal if it's at $60,000. Offered it, and he just agreed to it. I mean, I think on my part, it's not really anything like smart or like me having like all the knowledge to be able to,
Oh, the reason of why you got the deal?
Yeah. Like to me, it was just, I called the right person at the right timing, you know, maybe anytime later, the lady might have paid it off already and maybe she wouldn't have wanted to sell.
Probably not.
Yeah. Or maybe before then, I don't know. But so
you know what one of the keys was? He's almost right at the beginning. You're like, I contacted him and then I followed up. That was the key. You continue to follow up. And in your follow up, you kept it super chill and you just built a rapport with him.
Yeah.
You found ways to connect with him. Like the community thing, like naturally you guys are going to bond over that. Man, my parents are your neighbors. Like I grew up here. That immediately brings a bond immediately.
yes.
That's why you got the deal. Because when it was a combo of you spending the time, educating yourself, investing in yourself, taking action, taking the action, and then following up and building rapport. Those were the 5 steps that got you. It's huge.
Yeah. And it was, so when it happened, I felt like it was too easy. Like I didn't think, and then I was on YouTube earlier.
I did nest myself for 2 years and I had to do things that were extremely uncomfortable, but it was too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it feels though. That's how it feels. Yeah.
I saw a short clip on YouTube of the Axiom or the, I'm blanking out here. Or there's just some wholesalers, but they were talking about that their best deals, came from keeping it super simple or whatever, and everything.
Yes.
Every time that they overthought on the deal, every time that they overanalyzed, ended up being less money and more time. You know, so it ends up being worth less. And I think I even heard that from the podcast, from the Kingdom podcast.
From the Kingdom podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I might have heard them talking about it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. They talk about that all the time. For sure.
So yeah, just keeping it simple. And, I think, yeah, I mean, I didn't even care to put too much thought into it. And not only that, he has a ton of more properties,
right?
Just in that one town, but in the whole county, I found out he has like an apartment complex. He has multifamily units. So he even had told me, like, if this doesn't work out, maybe, you know, something else, but it did work out. And now it's better. You know, I'm here. I have an equity now. Let's make something happen.
Yes.
So I'm hoping to, you know, hopefully see within this.
Dude, that's awesome. That's exactly how that's textbook. Perfect. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. And then all these, the numbers that I had put in my post about the return on investment and everything.
Yes.
I think realistically, it would probably be a little less on the return on investment. Only because that property, it's already good to go. Like, I just need to cut the yard or whatever.
Sure.
And it's right next to my parents' house. My dad, he works on AC units. He's a handyman. You know, he's down to just go help out or whatever.
Nice. He can
make it out.
Yeah.
So I think realistically, like if it was just, you know, in a different city where my parents didn't have access to help out, it would definitely be less, but still, like for me to have that potential of getting that much return on investment just in the first year, you know, it's already a 3 times down payment. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And so good.
Yeah. And so like how I had said from the beginning that I learned just, I got into real estate just knowing about conventional financing and everything.
Yes.
But, yeah, my first deal ended up being that. So as I go on, I started forgetting about all that other stuff like conventional. So I was already overthinking it when he agreed to the price. I was already overthinking it and thinking like, well, what are these creative financing things I can do? And it's just like, you know what, like just to make it easy and to like, I guess more of a safety net for myself, to go back to what I feel super comfortable with. which I ended up getting that. It was just a conventional loan, but for 5% down. So, but the grand, it was like 3,800 was like the total cost or something.
Yeah.
So that's really not bad at all. I mean,
that's huge.
Yeah. I know that I know that a lot of people were commenting different ways that I can, not pay that. But I mean, I'm comfortable with that.
Well, like you said, this is not overcomplicating. I mean, really, this goes back to what we were talking about a minute ago. Of like, you saw this, or you saw the problem, and you're like, "Hey, this is the guy's problem. This is how I can solve the problem."
Yeah.
And even though it sounds like you're keeping this one as a rental.
Yeah.
So you joined Axiom to learn how to wholesale, and now you're going to have an asset that pays you for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Well, that doesn't suck.
30 years for sure. Yeah.
30 years for sure. You already know. Like,
I mean, until I retire, I don't know, but yeah. And that was always my goal, like or building that up. That was my goal before learning about wholesaling. So, and now that I think about
it's a testament to what you just said of like how getting into wholesaling got you like essentially I can't remember exactly the words you used, but paraphrasing what you were saying of like putting your foot in the door.
Yep.
And it just happens that now, okay, well, we were going to wholesale, but now we're going to acquire. That's honestly what a lot of people want anyway. They're like, I want to wholesale. I can then buy it whole. So when you can educate yourself and you can train yourself and you can take the action necessary to get to the point where you're like, hey, when a deal comes across the table, I have the confidence to look at it for me first, see how I can make it work for me first. Then I'm going to go after it for me. And if it works out, great. If not, then I will wholesale it.
Yeah. And with that, there was definitely a lot of willpower that it took, because it could have been for something like that. I mean, with what the house was valued at, 210. I was thinking like easy wholesale. It could have been a massive check, like something to where I could have been like, then I don't have to work probably this year or whatever, right? Like I can take that leap confidently because I have that massive check.
Yes.
But at the same time, I was also thinking like, if I just hold it off a little bit longer, I mean, I can just refinance on it, or, I can find a way to get a HELOC through it, which is what I had done with my parents' house. Got a HELOC. I paid it off, got a HELOC, and now we're renovating it so it can be their rental home and they can start making a lot of money. In that neighborhood, I mean, so that's already a ton of equity that I have in those two.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Todd talks about this all the time, where understanding value, true value, and buying at a discount, buying value at a discount. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's where, I mean, you can talk to pretty much investors of any type. Like general rule of thumb, you make your money on the buy, right? If you're understanding the value and you're understanding that you're buying it at a discount, and a healthy one of that,
yeah,
dude, I mean, now you have all of this equity to play with, and there's the amount of extra. This goes back to what you were saying as well. Like, wow, the world is now my oyster, really, because now I'm like 6 figures positive in equity.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, literally from last year to this year to be able to see that, like that.
Yeah.
In a few months that it literally went from probably negative equity to, above 6 figures. Yeah. And I mean, I still haven't even really grasped it, I guess, until that time comes where I have access to it,
Yes. Or, I mean, totally. And it's going to take time because you're going to, allow there's going to be some seasoning and things like that. But yeah, it'll be huge, dude. Good job.
And
how long did you? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. And then I have a question.
No, you go. You go first.
I was just going to ask, how long have you been in Axiom now?
I had joined in, I think, April or May.
I was going to say, I was thinking like March, but April
or
first or second quarter, something like that. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And during that time, it was a lot of, there's just a lot of interruptions. I was going through paramedic school, and then I was in the middle of moving up here.
So I know all about that.
Yeah, 6-hour relocation. Yeah, I mean, so that's tough in itself. And then having to get adjusted to the new job, whatever. But I mean, obviously, I'm not going to use that as an official excuse, because I know that there could have been some time any worse throughout. But I think it was a pretty good learning experience. And then jumping up here, which I decided, you know what, it might be a good option for my whole real estate venture. I ended up discovering about foreclosures, at least in this county. I mean, it is insane, like insane. There's no way I can even reach a third of them. And it's super crazy. So I'm excited for that. But
so the whole scarcity mindset and like, oh, there's too much happening. But by the way, for anybody watching this in Texas specifically, around DFW, Houston, or any big market, Eric has just disproved your feelings and has proved what we talk about all the time of like, there is no market saturation. Like, people have problems, and the amount of people with problems exceeds the amount of people that are solving problems by a very large number.
Exactly. And I think it's funny because the guy I had told you about, the one who got me into real estate.
Yes.
I considered him my mentor, right? Like every single day for almost a year, I was bugging him, asking him questions or whatever, calling him. And these past months, it started getting to a point where I started realizing I think I'm outgrowing him, because especially these past weeks, I would ask him some questions and he would give me an answer that I would already think like, that's wrong, like that. But I was so used to not.
Sure.
Yeah. I was just used to believing everything he said, right? Because he was very smart and
he was the expert in your life.
And it got to a point where I even told a couple of close ones to me. I was like, man, I think I've outgrown this guy, at least in this field, in wholesale.
Sure. Yeah.
He wholesales his own properties, but only when he's actively trying to get a property for himself. And if at the very end, he doesn't like it, then because he's very conservative with his numbers, then she'll wholesale it. Yeah. And I've always told him, like, dude, like you can literally go off like even more, gain more, but he's happy where he's at, which is cool.
Yeah, sure.
But it had gone to a point, and then I remember, I think it was the last time I ever even asked him about real estate. I had asked him a certain question, and he had basically given me like a typical speech. In this market, everyone's holding onto the money. No one's going to be buying unless you're basically stealing the house or whatever. And I was thinking like, that can't be true, just because I see all these other wholesalers, through Axiom and through that community.
Yeah.
So that's when I realized, you know what, I think I've outgrown him. Now let me primarily focus on Axiom, which has been tremendous for me.
And how did you find Axiom?
I think
I'm trying to remember what you had said. Was it through Todd's book?
Yeah. So that friend that I told you that had talked to me about it years ago.
Yes.
Talked to me about it. I blew him off. Years later, I remember what he was saying about it. And I think I had read about it in some book and about real estate, but it was just like a quick reference, like wholesaling. And then in that book, it quickly parenthesized, but that's a different topic, or like that's for another book. Oh, I remember it was very briefly. I think it was some book from Brandon Turner.
Okay.
One of those,
Yep.
Buying properties with low.
Yeah.
I think it was that book. So he quickly referenced it, and it kind of clicked. Like, I think this is what my buddy Aaron was telling me about. So I called him up and I was like, dude, that thing that you used to nag me about, like, tell me more.
Tell me more.
Yeah. So he quickly told me. I was like, okay, I'm going to buy some books. And I just looked up audiobooks. I saw that one. And at the time, my drive to work was 30 minutes. And I remember that book was small enough to where if I put it at 1.25 speed, I listened to the whole thing in one car ride. And literally that's all it took, that one car ride to work. And when I got to work, I'm telling everybody about it. And I'm just like, dude, like I'm out of here in a few years. Like it was nice knowing you guys.
It was nice knowing you guys. I already know my future. Like,
yeah. Yeah. And I didn't even know anything about it. Just that quick little book. But he made it sound so easy. And I was just like, can't be that easy. But the more you read about it, the more you learn. It's just like, it is easy. It's just,
you just got to put in the work.
Yeah. It's just like almost any other, skill, basically. I mean, the same thing, like, as I can think of, like with fire service. I mean, there's some like tasks that I have to do super easy, but I remember when I was first learning it, it was like, how did these guys make it look so easy? Just do it over and over and over and over. It's the same thing with talking. I've always had so much trouble talking to people, to, public gatherings.
Sure.
And now it's just like, I feel super.
Now you're on a freaking interview that's going to be on YouTube.
Yeah. And now like I call people up and like, if they start telling me off, whatever, I'm just like, okay, like whatever, next one.
Yeah. But
I don't even feel anything anymore. Right. Like it's just like so fluent. And it's been awesome. I mean, crazy experience just from that 1 30-minute audio book.
Dude, it's killer, dude. That's cool. Like, I love hearing that. I so appreciate you sharing that. Because I like it posed at the beginning, like the whole point of this is one, to showcase you, one of the people in Axiom who's doing what's being taught. And it's exciting. And we want to be able to be like, look at Eric. He's killing it. He's doing great. But then people are going to watch this, and whether they join any of our programs or not, they're going to look at it and go, wow, if Eric can do it, I can do it. Like that whole thought process, that's a real thing. Like we get comments and messages from people all the time that are just, oh man, I really connected with what Eric said, or, man, that really inspired me to go take action or whatever. And it's like, at the end of the day, our whole purpose is to end financial suffering. So the King of Real Estate exists to end financial suffering. We just happen to do it through real estate investing. So we can inspire more people to take action.
Yeah. And
job's done.
That's exactly it. I mean, the first book I ever read was Rich Dad Poor Dad, perfect book for whoever hasn't read it, but, it's so awesome. The way that he describes it as, he said, that you can't really measure riches because they're just items, right? Like if I have all the diamonds in the world, like who's to say that that's worth that much money? Like,
yes.
It's just people's opinion. Right. But the way that he measures what is wealth is how many days can you go on without working, right? Like if I were to stop working right now, like how many days can
wealth is measured in time.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. Like, how can I start buying up more of my time and just start making money? Yeah. So, I think that was another huge thing, as it's also a huge thing as to not just stick to wholesaling, because it is a lot of work, especially if you haven't gone to that point where you're able to, there's so many gears turning. If you haven't gone to the point where you're plugging people in, hiring people to turn all those gears, you're doing everything yourself. Like you're just going to be going deal after deal. And that's just as stressful. I mean, it's stressful just getting.
Oh yeah. Wholesale. I mean, that's why I was saying so many people are wanting to get into wholesaling as a stepping stone. Mm-hmm. It's very rare. I see someone who's wholesaling as an end goal. It's cool if it's an end goal, but to be an end goal, it's going to be transactional, like you just mentioned, or you're going to scale it into a business. Either is fine, depending upon but if you're wanting to, for those of you that are like, I want wealth, Eric just dropped a massive nugget of wealth is talking about the whole conversation that it is measured in time. So if you want wealth, something that's transactional is going to be the entry point for you, not the final destination. Mm-hmm. So something like Axiom to get you the knowledge and the skills and the community to get wholesaling is important. So you can do things like Eric is doing. And that's finding properties for himself and acquiring stuff and then wholesaling.
And that's my end goal now. I mean, I think I had like a quick shift. It was like, sure, I was so stuck on rental properties
Yes.
And then once I learned about wholesaling, I was like, if you can get to like 3 deals a month, why wouldn't you just do that every month the rest of your life, right? But it gets to that point where it's just you want to relax, right? Like that's the whole thing for was you want to
totally. Well, and now you are equipped. I mean, just with going through Axiom, learning the process and what we teach for wholesaling. And I mean, there's even some stuff like, I'm thinking like module 7 stuff like taking your assignment via a note and things like that. That's adding in all those tools in the tool belt. Now you've got this other deal where you're like, man, I've got this buy and hold deal. This is how I've structured. Here's another tool in the tool belt. Now you walk into a pre-foreclosure situation, like you mentioned, you're like, oh man, they're in this situation. They need this. Okay, that's going to be this tool. That's going to be wholesaling. That's going to be the buy and hold. That's going to be whatever. I mean, he's got, without going into all the detail, like you've got 4, 5, 6 different tools that you can use or strategies you can use to take a property down.
Yep. And that's exactly what I was able to realize is in the 2 years that I only knew about acquiring rental properties like a conventional way. I had seen so many properties that to me, they were a good deal, but not to my standards, right? Like I just taken certain things to where I try to have, I'm very numerical. So I love seeing the exact percentages. And if a property can fit perfectly into that, then I'm thinking, okay, that's a good deal for me because I'll feel comfortable with that risk. Other people are different, right? I'm just very conservative. So my buying zone might be right here.
Yes.
And then there's properties that I'm seeing in like this area, which are probably perfectly acceptable to a lot of others. So like seeing, the ROI, like obviously to me, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
At least for starting off. Because right now I want more monthly income just so I can get out of my day job to fully go into this. So I know that there's options where it might not, like you might get a bad ROI, but you have a lot of equity on day one.
Sure.
So that's a good deal. I still probably wouldn't get something like that just because I want the ROI like right now.
Sure. But like you said, it's all dependent upon what your goal is.
Yeah. And these past 2 years, if I would have known about wholesaling, I know for a fact that there would have been so many other people, and me not even knowing about wholesaling, I just completely left all those deals that I had ever came across in the 2 years, just because I was like, it's not for me. So then I won't make any money from it. So now that I know about wholesaling, it's just going to
a different window of opportunity.
It's going to expand everything else. And I'm just super excited because now that I know my hometown area so good, it's only going to expand being up here, that now I'm going to know 2 areas very well.
Yes.
And, I mean, I would predict that I'm going to scale up like even faster than before.
Oh,
Just in this big area. Yeah.
100%. 100%. I agree.
So I'm super happy about that. And, I mean, I'm still really wanting a 4-plex. And for some reason, this past couple months, it's been super hard to find one up here. But, I mean, I'll take that. I'll take that home that I got. So
the other deals, it's definitely a win. That's for sure. It's okay. We're going to take this win. We are open to receiving. We're going to receive that win and we'll move on to the next one and hope it's a 4-plex. If it is, great. If it's not, we'll keep plugging away.
Yep. So now, I think the next step is I was just considering buying, a 4-plex with the FHA, right? Like it's there, it's available. Why not use 3.5% on a bigger loan? So, I was thinking of doing that, but now I might just try to get in contact with a Houston wholesaler. So if anyone's available and wants to
Houston, find Eric. There you go.
I'm down. Actually, 2 of them. I want to get 2 of them.
There you go. It's easy. We've already scaled. In the last 5 minutes, we've already scaled from 1 to 2.
Yep.
Scaled faster than ever.
And that's actually the reason why we haven't gotten married, like officially,
is so we can have 2 FHA loans. And, you know, also right now the taxes, it definitely helps for us not being together. So
Sure.
yeah, because the way I see it is I'm trying to get my money back from the government. So
Dude, I have somebody I need to connect you with. The more you're talking, the more I'm like, oh, we gotta have a conversation.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, this is good. Well, I know we got an Axiom call to go on here in a minute, but I wanted to just say thank you, and I'm incredibly proud of you. This has been fun hearing what you got going on, learning more about it. I know that this is going to inspire some people. So Eric, I really appreciate you taking the time. Seriously.
thank you guys. It's been literally the biggest game changer. Of course, it was a big leap, you know, deciding to go into Axiom, especially like not even knowing fully what it's about.
Yeah.
And just took that leap the same way that I took the leap to come up here, took the leap to buy the property and to do all these other things. And every time I've been telling myself, like, trust your gut.
Yeah.
And it's turned out super good.
Sounds like it has worked out well for you, including joining Axiom. Sounds like that's been a good move.
And I think it's only been like half a year, you know, it hasn't even been
all that much time. It's been like summer into fall. And it's wow, this is already changing my life.
Yeah. And there's been so much information that I can't even believe. I feel like it's been a few years already, but that's just how much information that I've been able to learn and to ask questions all the time. And it's crazy that I can't even believe it's only been a few months.
So that makes my heart happy hearing that. That's awesome. Well, dude, thank you for taking the time. We'll see you on the call. I appreciate it. Looking forward to doing another one of these. We have another update, other 6 months from the
2 fourplexes.
That's right. 2 fourplexes. That's right. Hopefully. And you'll probably have like 5, but and we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed what you just heard, and I hope you got value out of it. If you would like to continue the conversation and see if you might be a good fit for our community, there's a waitlist down below. Check it out. We'll get in touch with you as soon as we can. Have a great day.